So my Hydromancer is going to set out on her journey. The first thing we're going to go ahead and do is explore this hex here. So we move to this hex, we flip it over and explore. When we explore, we have to resolve an action card. So this one here says we need to summon 2 trash mobs to battle. Now I've only limited to about 90 minutes in this playthrough. That's all I've got time for today, recording wise. So let me come back to that battle in a moment, because the battle's somewhere between sort of 45 to 60 minutes, the battle. So I'll come back and do my battle in a moment, because I would just like to showcase a couple of other things if we get round to it, unless we keep getting lots of battles. Let's go ahead then and let's explore this hex over here. Hex number 4. We take an exploration card, and this one tells us that we need to resolve an action card from the deck. So we go ahead and take an action card from this deck here. In solo mode, what we're going to go ahead and do is cover up the outcomes. So you can see at the top there we have the description. I'll read that out for you. This one says low supplies. Supplies are running low and everybody's patience wears thin. Your party needs food to regain their energy, but do you ration the little you have or go on search for fresh provisions? Okay, so we've got option 1. We can carefully ration the remaining food, ensuring everybody gets enough to carry on, or we can venture off path to forage or hunt for fresh food, hoping to find enough to satisfy the party. So like a build your own adventure book, we will pick one of these options. Seeing as we've only just started off on our journey, I think we're probably safe enough to venture off the path and see if we can find some fresh food. So we've got option 1. So I'm going to go ahead, try not to reveal outcome 1 to save that excitement for another solo playthrough. So now we have outcome 2, and it says after some efforts you find some wild herbs and a Shire mushroom. You receive 1 wild herb card and 1 Shire mushroom. Search the loot item deck for these cards. Okay, so I'll pop that action card into a discard pile and go ahead and take the loot item deck. And we're looking for a Shire mushroom, and we are looking for some wild herbs. So there's some wild herbs, and a Shire mushroom. If I remember rightly, we don't have the artwork complete yet for the Shire mushroom, so it should be, there we go, yeah. Nice and easy to find in the deck. Both of these are new consumables. So let's start with the one without the artwork. We've got the Shire mushroom. It says, if used during combat, I can gain 6 HP. If we use this during a board reset, we can gain 12 HP. Once we used it, you can see this is the activation on it. We must discard the card. So these new consumables are one-time only uses. Then we have the same for some wild herbs. 4 HP during battle or 8 HP during a board reset. Okay, and during a board reset is very important, because if you're playing the game on standard mode, which we are here in this little playthrough, these are predominantly going to be used in combat, because during a board reset our HP will return back to maximum anyway. However, we do have a new end game mode called heroic mode, and that is for the more experienced players. Inspired by sort of heroic mode that was added to World of Warcraft dungeons to sort of revitalize them and give them a little bit more life. We've now created our own heroic mode, so you'll be able to go back into these dungeons, and during a board reset your HP will not go back to full. So that's where these consumable items will come in significantly more important. Okay, so I'm going to pop those on my equipment board, and then we are almost ready to continue. On this, what we got here in the top right corner, we have a boss die icon. So that means we roll the boss die once to see where this mini boss roams. So I'm going to take the boss die, we're going to roll it here, and we got a 6, a number 6. So the boss die does have icons, and some of these icons will get added to their spells when they start casting spells. But in the bottom left corner is also a little number on here as well. So we got a 6. A 6 means the monster will travel north and place an encounter token up there. Sorry if my head's getting in the way. I'm relatively new to recording videos, so I've got my camera kind of directly above me. And I know that 6 is north. If you don't know where that is, you have a little reference here on the Shire hex, okay? So when the boss dice is rolled 6, the monster moves north. 1 and 2 is northeast or southeast. And then we've got south, and then it looks like we've got north and southwest, okay, on 4 and 5. So that concludes this action card is completely resolved now, so it allows us to continue moving on. So let's go ahead and travel to hex number 3. This tells us that the mini boss roams 1 hex. So we're just going to repeat that last action. We're going to roll the die, and we've got a 2 this time. So the mini boss is going to go ahead and roam in this direction. And yes, they do stack counters. So as you can see, there's already an encounter token here. We do place a second one on top, and we might be able to get to these encounters shortly. That concludes the exploration in this area here as well. Let's go ahead and move hex 6 and find out what happens. We take an exploration card. It's telling us to take another story card. I tell you what, actually, we've done enough. Let's just we'll take the story card, and then we'll go back to that battle that I skipped earlier. So we'll just jump into some combat, so we can highlight how these new combat maps work, which will hopefully get you guys excited because they're really fun. So let's take one more story card then. Let's find out what happens to our party of heroes here on this hex. So this card is called Luminous Gardens. A sprawling garden of glowing flora lies ahead, with its vibrant hues bathing the surroundings in luminous light. The air is thick with a scent of life and magic. What's your next move? Option 1, we can harvest the glowing herbs, hoping to harness their magical properties. Or we got option 2, we can meditate among the flowers, embracing the tranquility of the garden. Now let's pick option 2, because, you know, meditating in the flowers and enjoying the tranquility sounds right up my street. So again, I'll try and not reveal this outcome. Outcome 2 then, the serenity of the garden fills you with renewed clarity. Your mind sharpens, your senses heighten, all allies level up. So that's a perfect action here, because we can now explain how leveling up works. I'm going to take this little cube, so I start at level 1. We start at level 1 thematically because our heroes, I mean, the game is called Heroes of the Shire. We felt a little bit silly. These heroes have all these spells and these paths that they can unlock. We didn't want them starting at level 0. I mean, they're already heroes in themselves, so our heroes do start at level 1, which is why I've got this increased stat here on my defense, and I have already unlocked one of my ice magic skills here called Circulate Ice. So leveling up allows me to move this cube from level 1 across to level 2, and there's a little reference text here called, it says PC. Now that's just a short reminder that I gain another power cube when I level up. So I'm going to go ahead and take that power cube, and I'm going to start following this ice magic path down here. I've now unlocked a new passive ability called Frozen Studies, and that states that pre-battle, you and your allies, you and your frost type allies, so it won't benefit the Dragon Knight, it will only benefit allies that are of the frost elemental type. They'll receive a semi-permanent +1 frost damage and +3 base HP. So I tell you what, let's go ahead and do that now actually, because the Hydromancer is a frost elemental type character. Let's find, what was it? We've got 3 base HP and +1 frost damage. So again, sorry if I'm getting in the way of the screen. We've got +1 frost. And then what are we looking for over here? We're looking for a +3. So it should be here in this tray. And those are semi-permanent effects, so they're going to go in this column here. 3 there, and +1 frost damage. So that +3 increases my 44 HP up to 47. So I'm going to reflect that now. So my new starting HP is 43 whilst I have this ability unlocked. And the ability above Circulate Ice states that all my water elemental type spells, which is the vast majority of them because we are a Hydromancer, now additionally gain the Frost elemental type. So anything that has water also has frost next to it, which will greatly benefit from this because now I have increased frost damage by +1. So when I cast Hydro Barrage later on, when we get to combat, instead of it being 7 damage, because it's also a frost spell and I've got +1, it would actually be 8 damage as well now. So effectively, this Frozen Studies path is really strong at buffing you and your allies' frost damage, which is nice. Okay. The Luminous Gardens card then also had 2 boss die icons there, allowing the mini boss to move twice. So let's go ahead and roll for the mini boss. We've got a 2 over this direction, and we've got a 6, so north. So each hex that they travel across, they do leave these encounter tokens. Okay, that is the action card resolved. And of course we would continue our travels, but if you remember that first card I got, summon 2 monsters to battle on hex 1, I sort of bypassed that. So we can either go back and do battle here, or we could just have battle here. What was this? I think this was hex 6, wasn't it? Yeah, hex 6. Yeah, sure. Let's go battle here then on hex 6. So what we do is we take out the combat map binder. And now we're looking for hex 6. There's a little key at the front to remind you what loot items do and what the sandstorm tokens do. So we're looking for hex 6 in this binder. Okay, it tells us to summon 2 mobs to battle. So the trash mob deck over here, we're going to summon 1 mob and we're going to summon 2 mobs. Okay. When these mobs are freshly summoned, we're just going to pop a token tracking card next to them, so we can track all their stats and status effects that they'll be receiving during combat. We're going to go ahead and set their HP. So the bright jellyfish looks to be at 18. That's set. And then we have 20 over here on the light spirit. And that looks set. What we're going to do is also give this trash mob modifier deck a little run. So we shuffle this, and we're going to take 2 cards. We'll go 1 there and 1 there. So this mob over here, the bright jellyfish. Now we're going to modify this for solo play. Okay, so if you were playing on ultimate mode, which is where in the rule book we recommend, that's if you're playing with 5 additional players, which would be 5 heroes here. Now, of course, if you're playing with 5 heroes, you'll be able to buff your stats quite high, and there'll be lots of available combos. So, sorry, I just noticed you can't quite see my hero board, so let me just adjust my camera there. Hopefully that's a little bit better for you now. So since we're playing solo, this modification here states that all stats on this monster are reduced by 1, except for its HP, which is reduced by 2. So we're going to record that. I'm going to grab some +1s, and I need a +2. I say pluses because on the back side is the negatives. So the monster's HP is reduced by 2, so we're going to pop that there. So it's 18, it actually is modified down to 16, and it has -1 on all these stats. That's to just help the solo player. Okay, we're good, almost to go. Let's see what modifiers the light spirit has over here. Really simple, its HP is reduced by 3. And you can see that if we're playing hard, its HP would be increased by 20, and on ultimate mode it'd be increased by 40. So that would give this guy 60 health, making them significantly tougher to kill. So let's go ahead and find a -3 or a +3, and on the back side we're looking for that minus. So this light spirit starts at 17 health. We're almost good to go. One thing I did forget to do actually, I need to find my turn order token for the Dragon Knight, which is over. Should be over here in this token tray. There it is. The agility stat of my Dragon Knight is 6. So over here on the turn order card, I'm placing my Dragon Knight on 6 agility. Now I already had set my Hydromancer. She has 2 agility. She is tied for the slowest character in the game. I think it's the Engineer that also has 2 from the Fire and Ice edition of the game. So that is the turn order set for the heroes. Now we're going to go ahead and set the turn order for the enemy monsters. Now we summon a bright jellyfish, so let's go find one of their tokens. They have an agility stat of 7, so we'll pop them up here at 7. And then we have a light spirit with an agility value of 4. The light spirit here at 4. Now we're going to go ahead and find our spawn points on this combat map. So these green numbers here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, represent the spawn points for our heroes. Now the lowest number, the 1, represents who's fastest on the turn order. So because the Dragon Knight is the fastest character, we're going to go ahead and plop the Dragon Knight standee on number 1 and the Hydromancer on number 2. Now I forgot to get out of the box my nice fancy acrylic standee for the Dragon Knight. So let me just momentarily find that. Because in the Light and Shadow game, for the ally cards, you would get cardboard standees. A little bit like our enemy monsters here. We have acrylic standees for the bosses, and we have acrylic standees for the heroes. However, because I also have the acrylic standees from the Legacy add-on, which the Legacy add-on is bringing all these new features to our original Fire and Ice and Earth and Water game. And in the Legacy add-on, there are 36 acrylic standees. So, just to show off our acrylic standees, I'm going to go ahead and actually play with the acrylic standee of the Dragon Knight instead of the cardboard one, just because I have it in my collection. And I believe we recommend that even in the tutorial of the base game. I think in the tutorial we state, go find the cardboard standee for the ally card, which in the tutorial I believe is the War Drummer. I think we've got a little section there saying, however, if you own the Legacy add-on, you are welcome to use the acrylic standee if you have it. So yeah, so this is our spawn points then. Dragon Knight on number 1 and Hydromancer on number 2. And remember, that's based on this turn order over here. We're going to go ahead and do exactly the same for the enemy monsters, but their spawn points are these white hexes with the little monster icon above them. So the jellyfish is the fastest, so they'll spawn here on number 1. And then the light spirit is a bit slower. They'll spawn on number 2. Now we have the combat map to set up, and it's relatively simple. This black box up here requires a dice. This is our combat map dice. So this is the dice that you may have seen us showcasing. It's got the little monster's eye inside it when I'm spinning this dice around. Oh, I actually dropped it, but you can see the monster's eye rotates around in there as well, so it's really cool. That will go up here in the top right corner. Now we have a look at the resource timeline. So on round 1, which of course is pre-battle, we're starting on round 1, you can see this dice is set to 1. The light brown hexes receive a wind token. So I'm going to go ahead and find these wind tokens over here in the token tray. 1 goes there, 1 goes there, 1 goes there. And that's the combat map set up. Okay. Now, what these wind tokens do we'll get onto in a moment, but on the front page here, before we opened up the binder, there are some instructions on what they do. But what we've also done is, you may have already seen this in our unboxing video, this is the binder for the shadow scenario. So what we've done is we put the FAQ for the light scenario in the back here. So we'd look at the back few pages, and then here we go. It is a reminder of what this token does in the back of the shadow scenario binder. Okay, so of course we've set this up now. We're going to have some dice and tokens on this shortly. We don't really want to be to be moving this binder whatsoever until we finish combat now. Okay, and I believe that's us. We're good to go. Oh, I need to remember I've got this Shire mushroom and this herb over here in case I need that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start off on the turn order then. So we have the jellyfish first. So the jellyfish is up. The jellyfish, first thing they do have a token upkeep, but they've got no temporary tokens. These are permanent, they don't move. Temporary tokens, nothing to move. They've got no dice on their board, so they skip that upkeep. They then move into a movement upkeep. The movement upkeep, I forgot to shuffle this deck, so let's give it a tiny bad shuffle. Let's just take a card randomly from the middle of it to make sure it's a bit better shuffled. And what that is, that's the movement of this jellyfish until end of turn. So the jellyfish can move 3 hexes as it casts a spell, and it can place some glowing on the combat map on 2 hexes for a duration of 2 turns, and we'll get to that in a moment. Now, once you guys actually know what these icons mean, this text is irrelevant, but we put the text on there because, of course, you might forget what the icons do. But anytime you see the number to the left of a circle, it means they move before the spell. If the number is to the right, they move after the spell. Okay, and then in the bottom right corner, we have the number of hexes is in the bottom left corner, and it's the same color as the if it's an enemy or an ally hex adjacent to. And then in the top right corner, this little white number means the duration. So without looking at that here, I know I can move 3 hexes before casting a spell, and then I can place 2 glowing tokens on the map, and they last for a duration of 2 turns. Okay, so that is the jellyfish. Then our jellyfish is going to go ahead and cast the spell. Since we're playing solo, we're playing against the AI deck. What the AI does with these small mob battles is they'll always cast their highest cooldown spell. So we're going to take a dice and we're going to pop it on Vault Discharge for a value of 5. As they cast this spell, they can now move 3 hexes. We haven't got onto it yet. I'll mention it briefly in a moment, but these maps are all unique and they're all got different keys on them. So this map, thematically, you can see the artwork. It kind of looks like there's a bit of a mound or a bit of a rocky area up here. So what we've done is we've put some of these lines up here to show sort of difficult terrain, sort of elevated terrain. And these grey hexes up here all provide an additional +2 damage with ranged attacks for the high ground if you can get to them and attack with them. Effectively, it doubles the ranged attack modifier, and the ranged attack modifier over here is +2. So if we're using ranged attacks from in the high ground, we'll get +4 on our attack modifiers, assuming the enemy is 3 hexes away. If they're 2 hexes, we'll get 1, but again, that would be doubled to 2. Or if they're adjacent, unfortunately, with ranged attacks, it's -3. So with that in mind, we always recommend that you act in the best interests of the monster as if another human would be playing. So since we got 3 movement, I guess we're going to go 1, 2, 3 over here. We're trying to stay away from the monsters and we're trying to get to this high ground over here. Okay. And then finishing resolving the spell, up to 3 enemies get paralyzed for 2 turns. So I'm going to go ahead and find the paralyzed token in this tray over here. And we're going to place that on both the Hydromancer, and it's going to go here on the conditions for 2 turns. And it's also going to go here on the Dragon Knight for a duration of 2 turns. And paralyzed is a condition that states you can't cast attack spells. So on this bottom row here, these are all my attack spells. I can't utilize any of those next round of combat because I'm paralyzed, and the same over here for the Dragon Knight. Okay, that will then, oh no, we've got some hextivity and then we're done. So after casting the spell, the movement card of this monster was placing those 2 status effects on the map for a duration of 2 turns that we mentioned earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and find some combat map dice. These are these little new small yellow ones. And I'm going to go ahead and find the glowing condition. And we need 2 of those. So we've got those. Okay. Now, as you can see, our enemies are adjacent to one another. So in the rulebook or in the quick start guide, we actually show this as an example of how tokens are placed on the map. Now, the movement card stated that they can place it adjacent to an enemy. So what we're going to go ahead and do is the Hydromancer, we're going to place it on this hex here because it is adjacent to them. And then we're also going to place one adjacent to the Dragon Knight. So we place that for 2 and we place this for 2. But really, we could save a bit of time. I'm just showcasing this the first time round so you know how collecting tokens works. Anytime a hero moves onto a hex or is in a hex with a token, you simply take it off the map and it would go on your board for the same duration as the die. So because that was for 2 turns, we place it here in the 2-turn column. So effectively, we don't need those on the map, which is this is penalising our heroes for being adjacent to one another. Okay. So there's some nice little combos that you can do with that, pushing and pulling your enemies together and then doing some splash fire damage and doing some splash bleed effects. I mentioned in our Discord that we're testing out a nice little combo with the Raven Goddess. Now she actually wants to be stunned because on her turn she skips her dice upkeep. She likes to skip her dice upkeep because she has a special ability that effectively stun is great for her. So what we were doing is we were putting the Raven Goddess next to the enemies, and then we were doing some splash stun effects, and they were going onto the Raven Goddess, which was really enhancing all the buffs that she was able to get. So that was a really nice combo that we were testing out last weekend. So that concludes the Jellyfish's turn. They've done their movement, they've cast their spell. They're going to flip this turn order token to the red X side to show that their turn is concluded. So now we're going to move ahead and go down the turn order, which is the Dragon Knight. Over to the Dragon Knight's turn. The Dragon Knight over here does have a token upkeep, so we're going to move Glowing down a column and Paralyzed down a column. Then we're going to go ahead and move into the movement upkeep. And the movement upkeep, the Dragon Knight can draw 3 cards and pick 1. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to give the Dragon Knight that card and pop these 2 into the discard deck. This allows us to move 2 hexes before a spell and 1 hex after. So we granted 3 hexes of movement, which is nice. What we're going to do, we can't cast our Dragonfire spell because it displays a ranged icon, which means it's an attack. So our only option is to cast the Knight's Pledge, which is going to gain us HP, but since we're at maximum health, I think that possibly won't be beneficial. 1, 2, 3. However, do we waste it now? To allow us to move when we do the spell? I think we shall, yeah. Let's just showcase. We'll go ahead and do this. So we'll go ahead and cast Knight's Pledge. We would both gain 4 HP, but unfortunately we're at full HP, so the actual spell is negated. But as we place the dice on it, that initiates the casting sequence. So now we can move 2 hexes. So the Dragon Knight's going to go 1, 2. Then we resolve the spell, nothing happens, and then we can move 1 hex after the spell. We're now going to go ahead and move up here into the high ground, but we've crossed this this pale yellow border, which over here on the key tells us that's uphill, and it states that movement through these hexes is exhausting. The moving player must increase the cooldown dice value of 2 of their spells by 1. Now, because we've only got 1 dice on the board, we can only do the 1, so this 4 is going to go up to a 5. Is that right? We can increase the cooldown dice value of 2 of their spells by a value of 1. Yeah, so it's only a value of 1. So that 4 has gone up to a 5. That means the Dragon Knight is not going to be able to cast that Knight's Pledge again for 5 more rounds of combat. So I really hope that we don't need that heal anytime soon. However, I wanted to get the Dragon Knight up here because his Dragonfire spell is ranged. now he will be able to take advantage. Right now, if the monsters stay there, we have +2 on the attack modifier, but it's doubled because we're on this grey hex here, which is called the high ground. I always think of Jedi Master Kenobi when I think of the high ground, if there's any Star Wars buffs out there. Yeah, so the reason why we've gone ahead and done that then is we're going to get an extra 4 damage on our attacks in the next few rounds. Okay, that concludes the Dragon Knight's turn. We're going to flip over this turn order token. We're now going to go ahead and move to the Light Spirit's turn. So the Light Spirit's got no tokens, they've got no dice. I mean, he does have a token, but remember, this column here is for permanent, so permanent stuff never move. It's only the 3 turns, 2 turns, and 1 turn column. When they cross this golden line, they fall off the board. Okay, so the enemy monster is going to go ahead and get a movement card. Enemies do not get the luxury, like human players, of drawing the 3 cards and picking one that is the best in their situation. The enemies just get given a card. Okay, unless you're playing the 1 versus many mode. If there's another human player, then the humans do get to draw the 3, pick the 1 for the monsters as well. So when it's the AI, so this monster, it can move 2 hexes and it can place the glowing condition on 3 hexes for 3 turns. Okay, so we're getting quite a lot of glowing here. And glowing is something that's thematic predominantly to the light scenario. So these movement decks here are made up of 20 cards. So what we have here is we have 20 regular cards. And then you'll start to see that we also have, you can see it wasn't shuffled very well. We also have 10 generic movement cards for the enemies with this back on them. And then we also have 10 that are specific to the light scenario, which grant a lot of light status effects like the paralyzed, like the glowing. Okay, just to make it nice and thematic. When you go into the shadows scenario, as you'd expect, this deck will predominantly be sort of made up of other status effects, like you're feared and you're frightened, and you're confused, and increased shadow damage, etc. Okay. Oh, sorry, I think I've accidentally shuffled that card back in, haven't I? It was, there we go, yeah, it was that one there at the bottom. So, same again, the Light Spirit is going to go ahead and cast their biggest cooldown spell, which is this one here called Gust of Light. It has a cooldown value of 3. We place a dice. That immediately initiates the casting sequence, which allows this Light Spirit to move 2 hexes. The Light Spirit, I guess we should maybe come in closer here to try to... No, let's ignore the high ground. Let's go 1, 2, or where were we here? Let's go 1, 2. Okay. Let's go over there to these golden field hexes. These golden field hexes state that sandstorm tokens, which are these ones, we'll get to those shortly, they can't go into the golden fields, the sandstorms, and it tells us that if a token would move that direction, the dice is re-rolled. And it also states when a hero enters this hex, they got to roll a d6. If they land on an odd roll, they will summon an additional trash mob. So effectively, heroes want to stay away from these golden fields over here, and we'll get to that in a moment, because these whirlwind tokens will push us in different directions when they hit us shortly. And yeah, in doing so, if the heroes enter the golden field hexes at the top, there's a 50% chance they will accidentally awaken another monster, and that will get spawned to the combat map. Okay. So that's the movement. We're going to go ahead and resolve the spell now. The spell is 1 damage, but it adds our agility and our intellect attack modifiers. So the monster has 6 intellect and 4 agility, so that's a grand total of 10 on the stats. Then we have 1 on the spell, so that's 11. We can target up to 3 enemies, so let's go ahead and target the Hydromancer first. Now, because we are more than 3 hexes away from Hydromancer, if we have a look down here, ranged attacks get +2 attack modifier. So we said it was 11 damage, didn't we? 10 and 1, 11, yeah. Plus the 2. we're going to hit the Hydromancer for 13 points of damage. The Hydromancer is able to defend the attack. Now her defense stat right now is only 5. So 13 minus the 5 is 8 points of damage. I'm at 47, and that's going to drop me down to 39. That's damage resolved on the Hydromancer. We're now going to go ahead and resolve damage on the Dragon Knight. Again, he's more than 3 hexes away. It's going to be the same amount of damage. It's going to be 13 damage. 13 damage. He also has 5 defense, so again, nice and simple, he's going to take 8. Now, because he's an ally card, he's not as strong as our main hero. He only starts at 36. If we deduct our 8 from that, oh, what are we at? 36, take away the 8, that takes us up to 20, or down, should I say, to 28. Okay. The latter half of this Gust of Light spell says, plus all allies gain 1 HP. Okay, so let's have a look. I don't think they can gain any HP actually, because they haven't received any damage. So we have the HP here is 20 but minus 3. Yeah, he's at max health, and 18 minus 2. So they're both at max health. They can't actually gain that extra health, which is quite nice for us. Then they're able to place the glowing status effect on the map. And what does it say there? It's 3 hexes for a duration of 3 turns. So let's go ahead and find the glowing token. 1, 2. We found those. 3 of those. Oh no, I've got 4. We only need 3. They can place them adjacent to their enemies. So let's go ahead, pop 1 on the high, near the high ground here. Let's pop 1 on the high ground over there. And then let's get 1 over here in case these monsters can pull this Dragon Knight into the glowing effects shortly. Now they lasted for a duration of 3 turns. So we're going to take those little yellow dice. Oh, sorry, I'm accidentally throwing mine off the table. 3, 3, and 3. There we go. That's the movement done. And then that concludes the Light Spirit's turn. Now over to our main hero, our Hydromancer. Our Hydromancer is going to go ahead and have a token upkeep. So her tokens move down from 2 turns to 1 turn. So she knows that right now she can't cast an attack spell. So these have all disappeared. She can only cast support spells. So we're now going to move into our dice upkeep. Our dice upkeep, we don't have any dice on our board right now, so we skip that. Then we're going to go ahead and do our movement upkeep, which is where we draw these 3 cards and we, oh, sorry, I've drawn an extra 1 and moved a token off my board. And we've got these here. So let's just go ahead and take this card. And you see what I mean, guys? Once you understand the icons on them, you don't really need to read the cards. I don't ever look at this text anymore, so I just know what these icons mean. And you might be able to see that there's a Hydromancer picture in the middle. On most of the action cards, there is no picture in them. That's because when you construct this deck during setup, you remember how I said the enemy deck is constructed of 10 generic cards, and then we have the 10 cards specific to the scenario. Because we're playing the light scenario here today, we shuffled those cards in during setup. The same is true for the hero movement deck, and that's comprised of 20 generic cards. And then each hero has 5 of their own unique cards. These are stored in the hero envelopes. And during setup, each player will shuffle their cards into the deck as well. Now you are incentivized, if you do find your own movement cards, to take them. And when you take them, any number that you see on this card here, you can increase only one of them by a value of 1. So I can move 2 hexes. I could increase that to 3 hexes. Or I can place the can't be healed status effect on the map for a duration of 2 turns. I could increase that to 3 turns. Alternatively, I can place it on 2 hexes. I could maybe place that on 3 hexes as well. So there's sort of more splash effects on the map. Okay, so that's the movement upkeep. Then we move into a hero upkeep, which is the special ability listed here. Now, the Hydromancer can't use hers yet because it's more of a late game ability. We might be able to get onto it soon, but for now, let's skip that. And then we move into our main phase where we get to pick one of these spells to cast. Since I have to cast support spells, let's go ahead and What do we do here then? Do we do that? Yeah, let's see. I mean, maybe we can show you the pet. Yeah. So let's go ahead and cast Fragment Harvest, and it states you gain +1 defense for 3 turns. So I'm going to go ahead and find one of these 1 tokens. I've got a +1 here, and it lasts on my defense for a duration of 3 turns. So that's where it's going to go there. The spell also says I also receive 3 water fragments. So I'm going to go to the token tray that's just over here that you guys can't see in frame. And I'm looking for 3 blue cubes, because these are water fragments. Now this special hero ability over here, it states that you can only use it when you have 4 water fragments placed here. And it tells us in this text here that you collect water fragments by casting your spells. So I'm going to place 3 of them up here. Once I get one more water fragment, in my hero upkeep, I'll be able to use this ability here. And I won't ruin the fun. I'll tell you what it is shortly. But it's called Water Elemental. Okay. We were able, where are we? We had our movement card. It makes no odds the sequencing of this one, but I was able to move 2 hexes, and I think I would like to change that to 3 hexes. That's the benefit of me taking my own card. So I'm going to go ahead, I think, and go 1, 2, and 3. No, let's go there. I was there 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we'll blend over there, and I have to increase the dice on my board by a value of 1. Now, obviously, a D6 can't go any higher, but it does tell us in the back of the rule book that you can increase those dice beyond the 6 value. You just have to place an additional dice next to it. So I can't cast Fragment Harvest for 7 more rounds of combat. Okay. And then I was able to place some can't be healed tokens on the map for a duration of 2 turns. So let's go find a couple of those dice, and let me go and find the token in the token tray. We have them over here. Let's go place them. 1 up here and 1 over there, just in case the this wind token pushes that mob. Okay, that is Hydromancer's turn concluded. So we're going to go ahead and flip her turn order token. As you may notice now, all of the turn order tokens on this board are all flipped over to the red X side. So that is when a round is concluded. So because nobody else has a turn to take this round, that's the end of the round. We now begin the next round, where we go ahead and flip these turn order tokens. And in flipping these, that starts the new round. We're going to go ahead, and before we follow the turn order card, we have the combat map to do. So round 1, we take this to round 2. Now, this is where, during the maintenance upkeep, which is this is where these tokens will trigger. Now we're going to take the boss die, and each token is going to move and possibly hurt somebody. So let's start with this token over here first. We roll the dice, and it landed on number 5. So it's the exact same movement here as the mini boss. So number 5 is, what have we got? We've got northwest direction. So that's the direction that the whirlwind token is going to move. So this token is going to move over there. Let's do this token next. We got a 6. So this token moves north, and we'll do the last token here. And we got a 1. So it moves that direction. And any time these tokens enter a hex with any other standee, they receive 3 undefendable damage, and they are forced to move out of that hex. So immediately, sort of at instant speed, the hero or the enemy gets a move 1 action where they can immediately just move 1 hex. Okay, so that is the maintenance upkeep almost done. Top left, we have the resource timeline, and it tells us when it's on round 2, which is what we're on now, all these turquoise hexes, which were our spawn points in the middle, which is why it was essential for our heroes to get out of that spawn point, those hexes become exposed, and 3 turns is very, very powerful. So we need to stay away from those hexes at all costs, really. Exposed is a condition or a status effect, other games call it. And if you're exposed, you take 50% additional damage from all sources. That means these tokens will deal 5 damage instead of 3 damage. If you have burn, bleed, poison, lacerate, drenched, any dots on you, they'll be dealing double damage. So, because it's 50% damage, but it's always rounded up. So if you're burning, you take 1 damage, and then it would be another 0.5, 1.5 rounded up to 2. So the exposed condition is very strong. We've been testing it lots in arena, trying to find some really strong combos with it. And as you'd imagine, for balance purposes, most of our heroes, when they apply exposed, it's only for a 2-turn duration, because of course it sets you up next turn for some really big combos, which is obviously really nice. That's the combat map complete. We then go ahead and move on to the turn order card. So it's back to our jellyfish, our bright jellyfish. Token upkeep, it doesn't have any temporary tokens, so nothing happens. Dice upkeep, this 5 goes to 4. Then they have their movement, so they just draw the 1 card. Their movement is they can move 3 hexes after they've cast a spell, and then they're going to go ahead and cast their spell. They're going to go ahead and cast Tentacle Sting. Tentacle Sting, the jellyfish is over here. It's only going to target 1 player. Now, who does it target? Well, we have a quick look at the stats. It's got 1 strength, 8 intellect, 7 agility, and 5 defense. We always ignore the health stat. So the highest stat it had there was its intellect, which had a value of 8. So it will target whoever has the highest intellect of the Hydromancer or the Dragon Knight. So if we look at the Dragon Knight's stat, his intellect is 4, and the Hydromancer, being a water bender, being a water mage, she's got 7. So it's going to go ahead and target the Hydromancer, which is actually kind of beneficial for us, because if you notice, she's closer. This is a ranged attack, which means on the combat map, he's only going to get +1 on the modifier, not the +2 if he was targeting the Dragon Knight, which is fantastic. So it's going to be 3 damage plus intellect, which is 8. So it's going to hit us for 11. It's a ranged attack. We're more than 1 hex away, so we're here. It's going to be an extra 1. So what did I say? Sorry, 3 plus the 1, that's 4 plus 8. So it's going to hit the Hydromancer for 12. Now the Hydromancer has 4, 5, and because we cast Fragment Harvest earlier, we now have 6 defense. So what did we say? It's going to be 8 and 4, 12, take away 6, we're going to lose 6 points of health. 39 down to 33. Okay, and then the jellyfish can move 3 hexes. Let's go ahead, 1, 2, 3. Let's move the jellyfish. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now they did cross over 1 line, 2 lines. So that means they have to increase their dice twice. So this dice here, Volt Discharge, is going to go up to 6. We don't put a dice on this spell because it's cooldown 0. So there was already no dice there to increase. Okay. And why we've decided to move the jellyfish over here is next round, on round 3, these pink hexes here, this one and this one, are going to get a loot item. Now the jellyfish is there to try and stop the heroes getting it. So if the jellyfish does not get pulled or pushed out of this hex, when the loot item arrives, it will effectively land on the jellyfish, it will come over here, and then the only way to obtain that loot item then is by killing the monster. Okay, that concludes the bright jellyfish's turn. We then move to the next in the turn order, which is our trusted Shadow Knight, Dragon Knight over here. Token upkeep, they lose Paralyzed and they lose Glowing. Okay, let's just pop those back in the token tray. Glowing over there. Paralyzed, where are you? Oh, there you go. Okay, then the Dragon Knight has a dice upkeep. So this 5 is going to go to a 4, and we're going to take a movement. We're going to go 1, 2, 3. Let's go make our life simple. Let's take the 2 movement before we cast the spell, or as we cast the spell. So then we're going to go ahead and cast Dragon Fire. It's a cooldown 0, so we don't need to. We place a dice for 0 and it immediately falls off. So we get to do our movement right away, which was move 2 hexes. So the Dragon Knight. You know, to be honest, he doesn't. Oh yeah, let's take him over here. Come on, he can get loot item. 1, 2. He's gone through the uphill, the exhausting terrain, so he's going to have to increase his dice by 1. And note, guys, these dice stay on our board after combat, so we'll be moving into boss battles or next mob battles with these dice on our board. So there's a lot of decisions and management going on there, but right now I feel the loot items outweigh getting the spell back, because right now we're kind of lootless and we could really do with some loot items. If there's any existing players out there watching this that have Fire and Ice or Earth and Water, some of our previous games, something new to Light and Shadow is our ally cards. They have this little bar at the top here. They can equip 1 loot item as well. So getting loot items now is more important than ever. So yes, we were casting Dragon Fire. So it's 2 damage plus our intellect. Our intellect is only 4, so it's going to be 2 plus 4 is 6. However, we are more than 3 hexes away from all our enemies, so it's going to be an extra 2. So it's going to be 8 points of damage. We don't get the double attack modifier because I left the high ground to come over to here. So it's going to be 8 points of damage. Let's go ahead. We'll target that jellyfish over there. So we're going to hit the jellyfish for 8. His defense is 5, but he's got -1. So his defense is only 4. So 8 take away 4 is 4. 16 take the 4. His health is going to go down to 12. However, our Dragon Knight, as you might expect, will also apply the burn condition. So we find burn in the token tray. Got one. You guys see how fast it is for me to find these tokens now in the tray. We apologise for not putting the token trays in the original game. Obviously, as a first-time publisher, we already had a lot on our plate, but as you'd expect, we've come back the second time round with our Light and Shadow edition of the game, and we made lots of vast improvements, which is why you'll see the box is significantly bigger than those first original games that we printed. And now we do have these fantastic token trays. If you haven't seen them before, I'll just sort of bring one on screen here. We've got 2 of these. There's one for the scenario and then one for the buffs and conditions. So our jellyfish is also going to get burning. When we place burning, they immediately take 1 damage, so they go down to 11. Okay, that concludes the Dragon Knight's turn. They're over. We're then going to head and move to the Light Spirit. The Light Spirit, no temporary tokens. They have their dice upkeep. This 3 goes to a 2. They go into a movement upkeep where they draw their movement card. Here we go. They can push an enemy 2 hexes away. Okay, so that is basically as they cast their spell. So we're going to go ahead and cast the only spell they've got left, Aurora Veil. On cast, they can push 2. Let's go ahead and push this Light Mage. This is the Hydromancer. 1, 2 hexes. I'm going to go ahead and get the glowing effect for 3 turns. Now, I already have glowing. You can see it's under there. Glowing is not stackable. So what should actually happen is that glowing would temporarily get removed and then reapplied for the new duration of 3 rounds. Okay, so I'm just going to go pop this glowing back in the token tray. So that's the push on the movement, and I'll pop this back in the board, in the box, and we're finishing resolving the spell. So Aurora Veil is, let's have a look, 4 damage. Plus the intellect stat, which is 6. 4 and 6 is 10 points of damage. Where are we? We're over here. We're more than 3 hexes away. The Light Spirit's highest stat is defense. The Hydromancer has 6 defense, and the Dragon Knight has 5. So unfortunately, he is going to target the Hydromancer as well. So what did we say? It's 10 points of damage. Over here, we get the extra +1 because we're more than 2 hexes. Sorry, it's +2 because we're more than 3 hexes away. So 10 + 2 is 12. 12 points of damage coming into the Hydromancer. She's got 6 defense. 12 takes 6 is 6. 33. She's now down to 27. Hopefully our Hydromancer can hang in there a little bit longer. And then the latter half of the spell, the Aurora Veil, states that this mob, the Light Spirit, gains protection for 1 turn. Now protection means they receive 50% less damage from all sources. So protection is very strong, which is one of the reasons why we decided to take down the jellyfish first. Okay, that is the Light Spirit's turn over. Let's discard their movement card. Last but not least in the turn order, we're Hydromancer. So we move to our turn, our token upkeep. Tokens go down a column. This paralysed would reach the golden line, gets taken off our board. Might just pop that back in the tray over here. That's the token upkeep done. We now move to a dice upkeep. This 7 goes to a 6. Then we move into our movement upkeep. So I draw the 3 cards, deciding to keep 1. I can pull an ally 2 hexes towards me, but I don't want to pull him towards me right now. I want him to stay there. I can push an enemy 2 hexes away. Or I can place a token on the map. To speed things up, I don't think any of those really benefit me right now, so I'm just going to choose to do none of them. Then we move into our hero ability. We can't use that yet because we needed 1 more water fragment. So then we move into our main phase. Now I'm not paralyzed. I finally can attack now. Now let's showcase this really powerful spell down here. And you'll maybe understand some design choices we made with the Hydromancer, why her agility is so low. So we're going to go ahead and cast Ice Bombardment. It's 6 damage, but it adds our intellect stat. Printed stat is 7. We've got no modifiers. 7 and 6 is 13. Now it is a melee attack, so I'm going to go ahead and attack the jellyfish. They are 3 hexes away, so it's going to be -2. So I said it was 13 damage. The modifier is -2, so it's only going to be 11. I'm going to hit this jellyfish for 11. Their defense is 4. 11 from 4 is 7. So that will drop their 11 down to 4. So the jellyfish is almost done. This is what I like to see. They're left at 4 HP. However, oh sorry, one thing I did miss. This is a frost elemental type spell. So it does get an extra +1 frost damage because I permanently had increased from this ability I took earlier called Frozen Studies. So they should take an additional 1 point. So they're down to 3 health. Okay, then the latter half of the spell, it says it's 6 damage plus you receive X intellect for 2 turns, where X is the difference in agility values between you and the target. So the jellyfish has 7 agility, it's got the -1. So it's 6 agility, but my agility is only 2. So the difference is 4. So that states that I will get +4 intellect for 2 turns, which will go there. Which means my next attack, if I use one that is the intellect modifier, which as you may imagine are sort of a water bending, water mage, predominantly all of these spells are using intellect. We don't really use the strength attack modifier very much. So yeah, that is the Ice Bombardment spell over, and that concludes Hydromancer's turn. That's end of round 2. We then move into round 3. Let's flip the turn order tokens. Ready to go. The map goes up to round 3. The map then reduces all of these dice on the map. So this goes to a 2, this goes to a 2, this goes to a 2. These all go to 2s, anything that's a 3, 2, 2, 2. And this 2 here will go to a 1, and this 2 here will go to a 1. Then we've got these whirlwind tokens, or these wind tokens. Let's roll the boss dice. Let's start with this one over here. Where is that whirlwind heading? Number 2. So number 2, over down this way. Let's do this whirlwind token over here. Number 5, over this direction, last but not least this one. And we've got a number 1. So number 1 is over that direction there. That's the wind taken care of. Then we look at the resource timeline, and on round 3 there will be a loot item drop on all of the pink hexes. This map is quite generous. There's 2 of them. Lots of maps there's only 1. So this hex would get the token and this hex would get the token, but luckily there's already 2 standees on these hexes. So this mob, the jellyfish, will loot this here. If we kill this monster, we take this token, which with it being at 3 health is looking in our favor. And then also the Dragon Knight obtains the loot item as well there. Okay, that begins the round. Turn order, we've got the jellyfish. They act first, so they do have a token upkeep. Burn moves down 1 column. Burn, every time it moves they take 1 point of damage. So the 3, they're going to go down to 2. Okay, then they have a dice upkeep. The 6 goes to a 5. Then they have their movement upkeep. They draw a movement card. Well, this is a big one. They can move 4 hexes. 2 before a spell, 2 after a spell. So that's a nice one for them. But it possibly is a little bit too late. Where do they go? And they've got a ranged attack. They don't really, there's no benefit of them moving on the map really, because I guess then they'll choose not to move. They'll just, it's up to 2 hexes, so they're going to choose 0. They're going to stay where they are. I'm going to go ahead and cast Tentacle Sting. Tentacle Sting is 3 damage plus glowing. So the intellect is 8, so we're looking at 11 points of damage. We know that this one is going to attack our player with the highest intellect, which is definitely the Hydromancer, especially due to this buff. So the Hydromancer is going to get hit for 8 and 3, which is 11, plus the extra 1 because of the ranged modifier. So it's going to be 12 points of damage. Take away the 6 defense, so they're going to lose another 6. Hydromancer's down to 21. Okay, resets the glowing back to 3 turns. That is the end of the jellyfish's turn. Then we're going to go ahead and move on to, sorry, we forgot to actually put a dice on Dragonfire earlier when we cast it. It says cooldown 2, so the Dragon Knight should have placed a dice on that earlier. Then it moves to the Dragon Knight's turn. He's got no temporary buffs, so there's nothing there. His dice, this 2 goes to a 1, this 5 goes to a 4. Now he has his movement phase. However, all 3 of these cards are going to go straight into the discard. And the reason being is because he can't cast any spells. So effectively this guy is recharging, or he's recharging this round. He'll be able to act next round. But we still put the cards in the discard because it helps us get rid of the deck, and then it'll help us all get shuffled in a little bit later. Okay, so that concludes the Dragon Knight's turn. Next, Light Spirit. Light Spirit loses the protection because it only lasted for 1 turn. It hits that golden line, goes back into the token tray. They have a dice upkeep. This 2 goes to a 1. They have their movement upkeep. They draw their card. They can move 1 hex and place Wounded on the map. They can only move the 1 hex after the spell. So they're going to go ahead, resolve their spell. It's a Raw Reveal. It is 4 damage plus their intellect. Their intellect is 6, 6 and 4. It's more than 2 hexes away, so it's going to be 12. If I remember rightly. Defense, it's going to hit the Hydromancer again. We need to get some buffs on this guy so they start attacking him. So it's going to be the same again, 12 from 6. She's going to lose 6 again. It's quite a common theme right now, isn't it? She's taking 6 health every time she gets hit. So Hydromancer's looking a bit thin. She's down to 15 health. And then this guy, oh, so I don't know why I put that token back in the tray actually, because he gets it every turn. It's on his cooldown 0 spell. Okay. Then after combat, he can move 1 hex. So, I mean, he's using ranged attacks. Yeah, let's move him there, but he seems okay. He's not too close to those whirlwind tokens. He's doing all right. And then he can place 3 wounded tokens on the map for 2 turns. So let's go ahead and do that. 2 turns, 3 wounded tokens. Wounded is over here, so 1, 2, and 3. Adjacent to their enemies, so I guess let's go 1 there, 2 there. Let's cover the Hydromancer. Or no, let's put 1 in between them. It only lasts for 2 turns. Wounded is an effect that says when you gain health, you only gain 50% health. So you don't gain the full benefit. Okay, and that's the movement card over. That completes the Light Spirit's turn. We then move on to Hydromancer. Token upkeep. They all move down. We then have a dice upkeep. This 6 goes to a 5, this 5 goes to a 4. Then we move into our movement upkeep. So I'm going to draw my 3. Let's see what we got to choose from. Move 1 before a spell, a status effect on the map called knockback, or move 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. What spell are we going to cast? Yeah, I think we can kill the jellyfish anyway. So let's get close to the jellyfish. We'll take this card because it's a melee attack that we're actually going to use. Oh, sorry, those 2 cards are meant to go in the discard, not on top of the deck. Okay, then we move into the main phase where we pick one of our spells. We're going to go ahead and cast Coral Blast. On cast, I'm going to move 2 hexes. We're going to go 1. What's the modifier here? -1. Let's just go adjacent there. Yeah, let's go adjacent. And then we're going to resolve the spell. It's 2 plus intellect. Our intellect is 7 and 4, 11. 11 plus 2, we're at 13. We're adjacent, it's melee, 14 damage. Jellyfish over here has 4 defense. What did we say it was? Sorry. 11, 12, 13, 14. From the 4, they take 10. They're only at 2. They are defeated. I will go ahead and take that loot item, and then we'll flip this card over to represent the monster being defeated. Let's take these tokens off. Let's get rid of this card as well, just to clean up our playing area. If you guys have seen some of our promo pictures, we do also have a playmat for these trash mobs, which is extremely useful. So you see this little extra card here. You don't need this card if you take the villain playmat. That will be sold at retail for £19. There's a small reduction. It's down to 17 during the Gamefound campaign. That's if it's bought separate. It is included in the playmat bundle, which is in some of our pledge tiers as well. That's 7 playmats, 1 for each hero and the villain. So what the villain has, it's got 6 spawn points for these monsters for the cards. So you place the cards on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. And then this little card here is printed on the playmat. So you don't need to find this card in the box. And then there's also a section above the card to place other things like these. There's a miscellaneous slot, because if you wanted to keep the trash mob modifier next to the card at all times, but because I'm trying to film on a little small area so my mobile can get in frame, I've tried to keep my table all sort of neat and or compact, should I say. So let me just pop these tokens back in the box there, and then the dice back over here. That's 1 mob dead or defeated, and let's take the jellyfish off the map. Their turn order token goes back in the tray, and I'm going to take their standee down just to save time later. Done. Okay, then also the latter half of this spell, by the way, was 2 damage plus I gain 2 water fragments. Now it does say over here the maximum you can have is 4, so I can't gain 5 unfortunately, but I will gain that extra 1. So now I do have an additional water fragment, which is nice. And then no dice was placed on this spell because it was a cooldown 0. Now every character, main hero, not allies, every character does have a cooldown 0 spell. And that is because it stops you being, especially in arena mode PvP, it stops other players crowd controlling you. Because we do have effects in the game like this one called Immobilize, where you can start putting dice on other people's spells. You can increase all their dice on their spells. There's some combos in arena mode where you kind of stop your opponents playing the game by just putting dice on all their spells. So you can't possibly immobilize the cooldown 0 spell. And also when you have counter attack, you get to cast this spell free of charge when you receive any damage, obviously, if you have counter attack on you. Okay, moving on then. That is end of round. We then move to the next round. Flip turn order tokens. This map, combat map dice goes up to 4. Any dice on the map that read value of 1, these tokens now get removed from the map. This is designed to ensure that the map doesn't clog up too much. So as you can see, these dice, they're only lasting for 1 more round each, and then they're all going. Let's just quickly turn all these dice to a value of 1. There we go. Now, because we're on round 4, up here in the resource timeline, this looks like to be a short and sweet map. There is nothing that happens on round 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay. So then we just move on to the turn order. Turn order, we've got the Dragon Knight going first. Dragon Knight, they've got no tokens. They do have a dice upkeep. Dragonfire comes back. Knight's Pledge goes to 3. Okay, they take their movement card. Dragon Knight is happy to move now, so he definitely wants to get at least 2 hexes. So let's go ahead and we'll take this movement card. This movement card allows him to move 2 hexes as he casts a spell. He's going to go ahead and cast Dragonfire, placing a cooldown 2 on it. As he casts that spell, he can move 2 hexes. So he's going to go 1, 2, because now he's back on the high ground, so he gets double the attack modifier when he is on ranged spells. Dragonfire, as you'd imagine, is an intellect ranged spell. So now, resolving this spell, we have 2 damage plus intellect, which is 4, so that's 6. We have an extra 2 on the map, and because we're on high ground, it's doubled. So we've got 4 on the map, plus 6 here, grand total of 10. 10 points of damage plus burn. Now, the Light Spirit, oh, he's quite tough. He's got a defense of 7. So 10 from 7, he's only going to take 3. However, he's protected, so he will actually protect half of the 3. So he'll protect 1.5, and that rounds up to 2. So he's only taking 1 point of damage. So actually, that guy needs a little bit of damage reduction, I believe. He's quite tough to kill. We might have to adjust our strategies going forward then. He also does get burn, so we'll place burn on him as well. But unfortunately, because burn does 1 damage immediately, he's protected. He takes 1 damage. He protects 1 damage, basically, because it's rounded up how much he's protected. So the 0.5, because he takes 50% less damage, so 50% of the 1 is 0.5, and then he protects. It's always rounded up, so he protects 1 whole point of damage, so he doesn't take anything from the burn right now. Okay, that is the Dragon Knight's turn over. Let's have a look. Oh no, the movement card allows us to place the Lacerate token adjacent to this guy over here on 2 hexes. That'll be quite nice if we can get him into Laceration. So let's go find 2 of those tokens. And we're going to pop those on the combat map adjacent to him. So let's go here, in case we can pull him towards us. They'll be quite nice. And let me just double check, what was the duration of that? 3 turns they last on the map for. So a dice there, and a dice there. Lovely. Let's go ahead and pass the turn. We now go over to the Light Spirit. The Light Spirit is going to go ahead, take this down, take no damage. We'll leave this nearby. Oh, actually, no, he now has his token upkeep, so this dice comes back. So actually, he's not going to get protection for 1 turn because he is going to cast this spell instead, which might work in our favour, actually. We'll soon find out. So, let's do their movement card. they can move 1 hex as they cast the spell. So let's pop it up there to remind us it's their movement. So they're going to go ahead, place a dice on Gust of Light to initiate the casting process. Then they're going to move 1 hex. I guess they're going to move away from these, so 1 over there. Gust of Light is a light elemental attack. It adds their agility and their intellect. So their intellect is 6, agility is 4, so it's 10 plus the 1. And they're ranged, so they are going to get an extra 2. So it's going to be 13 damage to both of us. That's quite a lot. Okay. So 13 damage. Let's do Hydromancer first. She's got 6 defense. 13 from 6. She takes 7. Her 15 takes her down to 8. She's in single digits now, this poor lady. 8 points of damage. Okay. Now let's do the let's do the Dragon Knight. So it's 13. He's got 5. Oh, sorry, he's got 5. So he'll take 8. His 28 goes down to 20. And the last part of this spell, it says 1 damage plus all allies gain 1 health. Let's double check. Yes, they did lose 1 health earlier somehow. I'm not sure how. Maybe it was on some burn previously. So they do heal 1. They go up to 17. Because they've now gained 1 health, any opponent that's glowing, which is only the Hydromancer, will lose 2 points of damage. So the Hydromancer actually now is at 6 health, so she's not looking too good. Okay. And then we'll go ahead, discard the movement card, and we'll move into the Hydromancer's turn next on the turn order. So we'll go for a token upkeep. These tokens get removed, and this comes down to 1 more round. Then we have our dice upkeep, so this 5 goes to a 4, this 4 goes to a 3. Then we have our movement upkeep, so I'm going to draw my 3 cards. Where am I? Oh, I could do with moving into the high ground to get extra range damage. So let's take this card, discard those 2. I can move 2 hexes after I've cast my spell. So now we move into my hero upkeep. I'm going to use this ability up here. It's called Water Elemental. I have to discard 4 water fragments in doing so. So let's pop those back in the tray. And that then allows me to summon a water elemental to my ability tab. And the water elemental is a really cool little unit. It's not got any strength or intellect. It's got 1 agility, 4 defense, and 12 HP. It's got 4 passive abilities. First one, Water Shield. When added to an ability tab, which is now, you gain a semi-permanent taunt. When added to an ability tab, all allies gain +2 water damage for 3 turns. Now he's got these 2 abilities here, Water Savior. The maximum amount of damage you can receive from an attack is 10 after defense. Now because he's at 12 HP, that means this guy can't be 1-shot killed. He has to take at least 2 shots to kill him, because the maximum he can take is 10, which would leave him at 2. And then when he dies, he will grant the Hydromancer a Leviathan fragment, which is actually a purple cube, not a blue one. And we won't ruin any surprises, but you can't use these Leviathan fragments just yet. You might have to level up to 8 and unlock a master ability and gain some more powers. Leviathan fragment, I wonder what that's for. Say no more, Damien, say no more. Keep the excitement alive. So the water elemental is going to be joining us here in battle, and again is semi-permanent taunt condition. So I'm going to pop that on the elemental, and that's fantastic, as you might expect if you've played RPGs or any sort of video games before. Now taunt, it means that they have to attack the taunting target, which is great. That's my hero ability. Now I'll move into my main phase. In my main phase, I'm going to pick a spell and cast a spell. This guy does not have protection, so let's hit really, really hard right now. I'm going guns blazing. I'm at 6 health. I don't need to use these loot items because I'm fairly confident I've got the win in the bag. Let me do some maths. I could be wrong. They do have high defense. 7 and 7 is 14, but I'm going to move here. So I'm going to be 3 hexes away, so it's going to be 16. 16 from 7, they're going to take 9. They'll go down to 8 health. Then I'm going to get another turn. Back to back. Then I'm going to be on this, and I'm going to get +4 on the attack modifier. I think I've got it. Right, okay, so this is where the strategy comes into it. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now, I don't want this monster to get another turn, because next turn we know they're going to cast Aurora Veil, and that's that really frustrating spell that keeps granting them the protection for 1 turn, which means they take 50% less damage. So we're going to go ahead and cast Hydro Barrage. Our movement was 2 after we've cast the spell, so we can't move yet. So we can't move into the high ground, unfortunately. However, this is a Frost Elemental type spell, thanks to Circulate Ice. So it gets an extra 1. So it's 8 damage plus my intellect at 7. So 8 and 7 is 15. I am more than 2 hexes away. It's a ranged attack, so it's 17 points of damage. They've got 7. They deduct 10 from their health points. They go down from 17 to 7. Then Hydro Barrage states, next round, the turn order is reversed. You also receive a water fragment. So I'll go get 1 more water fragment. Pop that over there. Then I can move 2 hexes up to 2, but I'm just going to choose to move to 1. I'm going to move there. Okay, that then will bring us into the next round. I'm fairly certain it's checkmate at this point, so I'm going to save myself a little bit of time. I meant to take this dice up to 5, and all of these tokens would go back into the tray. These dice, I mean, well, let's do it anyway, I suppose, because after combat we're going to have to do this anyway. So these tokens all get removed from the map. Wounded back over there. Let's put these dice over there. They're all gone. And then the ones over here, those exposed, are going back over there. This glowing is removed from the map. Back in the tray. And these laceration tokens go down to 2 turns. I guess we should play the game properly. So let's roll the boss dice and see where these whirlwind tokens. Let's do this one. We've got a 2, so it moves this way. Let's do this one. We've got a 2 again, so it does go towards the Hydromancer. And the last one has a 6, so it moves north. Okay. There's a nice mechanic on one of our bosses that when the boss's health points drop below 50%, these whirlwinds move twice per turn, and the boss is immune to them, as you might expect. That's the final boss, the Sunfire Serpent. So it's a really, really cool map. And funnily enough, that's where the design choice to bring these tokens happened. It happened in the boss battle, and then we designed these tokens, and then we really, really loved the mechanic. So what we decided to do was make that mechanic sort of more present throughout the light scenario. So there's a running theme in a lot of these scenarios. We got these whirlwind tokens in the light. They'll be moving around, not every map, but probably 40-50% of the maps. And then in the shadow scenario, we've got lantern tokens where you have to turn the lantern on and turn the lantern back off by moving onto the token, and when the light is lit you can target monsters, neighbouring monsters. When the lantern's not lit, you don't have line of sight, you can't actually target the monsters. Okay, so that was the map upkeep done then. We don't have round 5, so there's nothing more to do. We go turn order, but remember, Hydro Barrage, the turn order this round is in reverse. This design came from Pokemon. If you guys have ever played any competitive Pokemon or familiar with a spell called Trick Room, that is what inspired me to create Hydro Barrage. Again, which is why our Hydromancer has really low agility. Trick Room, if you're not familiar with competitive Pokemon, guys, is a spell that basically all the slower speed characters go first. So you kind of build teams around these really slow characters, and then you play Trick Room, and then your characters then the preceding rounds are always going first. And as you might imagine, the slow characters tend to do a lot of damage as well, so it can be a really strong synergy. So we're over to the Hydromancer. Hydromancer token upkeep. We lose that glowing effect, that's gone. We then have a dice upkeep. So that 4 goes to 3, this goes to 2, and 5 goes to 4. We then move into a movement upkeep. There's only 1 card left there, so we'll shuffle this deck. Oh, and then we go again. But I don't think it's irrelevant because at this point it is checkmate. I'd get my movement cards and I'm going to choose to not have any because I'm going to stay where I am because I want to be on that high ground there. I move into my hero upkeep, there's nothing for me to do. I then move into my main phase to cast one of my spells, and I think as long as I cast any ranged spell I am pretty good. So let's go ahead here and cast Tidal Surge. 2 damage plus intellect, so it's 7 and 2 is 9. It's ranged, so I do have an extra 4. 9 and 4 is 13. 13 from 7. Oh, I actually have not killed the monster. 13 from 7. I was getting too big for my boots. Oh, here we go. I missed this ability is coming so good. All my water spells get frost elemental, so I missed that extra 1. So it's 2 plus 1, it's 3, plus intellect is 7. So it's 10 plus the 4 on the map. So it's 14. 14 from 7 is 7, taking them to 0. But what I was going to say, if I did leave them at 1 health, on their turn, this burn token would go down and they would lose 1 anyway. So they were defeated no matter what. But I just wanted that glory instead of the burn token, taking it from the monster. Okay, so that is that monster defeated. Let's quickly flip that over. Let's tidy this up here. Oops, sorry, I've knocked my camera. I do apologise. Pop these tokens back in the correct place in the tray, because otherwise they'll get difficult to find if I just randomly throw them in different slots. Protection over here. Okay, fantastic. And then during a board reset, our HP goes back to full, thankfully. So I go back up to 47. I mean, could you imagine if we were playing heroic mode right now? I was at 6 health, I think, 6 or 7 health. I would have no choice. I would have to take these. I would have to, in the board reset, I'd gain 8 health by having some herbs, and I'd gain another 12 from the Shire mushrooms. So I could gain 20, but I'd still only be at 26 for the next battle, which is quite scary. Which is why heroic mode is pretty tough. It's in the name heroic. So thankfully I didn't use any of those items. I've got those for another battle because they're one-time uses. But we are at 47, so let me just quickly set that. And it's because I got 44, but I got the extra +3 from this Frozen Studies ability here. Okay, during a board reset we do lose the pets. So that pet is now gone. It will come back next battle should I get myself some water fragments. Taunt over there. Now we do lose the cubes as well, so we've got to regain those water fragment cubes. What are we at max health over here on the Dragon Knight? So we're at 36. Fantastic. Let's just clean this map away then. So the combat map dice goes back over there. These tokens go in the scenario token tray. We've got some dots, they go back in the token tray with the buffs and conditions, combat map dice. Let's take these 2 standees. Oh, the monsters there. I already desummoned that one earlier actually when it died, so that's nice and easy. And then I've got the acrylics. Hydromancer, we're back over here on this hex. And again, if you don't know what hex you're actually on because you might have forgotten, it tells us up here. We're on hex 6, so that was this hex here earlier. And then Dragon Knight standee will desummon over there. Let's take those back. We killed the 2 monsters, so let's shuffle them back into this deck. And we're done. We can close that binder. Okay, now we have 2 loot items. We got 1 there and 1 there. We simply, at the end of combat, we trade these tokens in for the loot items themselves. So they'll go back in the tray. And then we get ourselves 2 loot items from the loot item deck. This is a big deck of cards. Let's just take I don't know, let's go in the middle, because this game is so new, the prototype, I haven't got around to shuffling all these cards properly yet. So yeah, so we take 2 loot items. First one is one of the new items that I think is about 60% of that deck has all the artwork complete, and about 30-40% of it, there's a little bit of artwork missing. In the game in general, as you can see, we predominantly do have around about 90% of the artwork complete. There's 1 or 2 quest cards, 1 or 2 pets. The pets that are missing the artwork are actually not from Light and Shadow, they're predominantly in the Legacy add-on. And then there's probably 30-40 loot items missing artwork as well. So this item here is some Molten Ash, and it says it's a one-time use again. We discard it, but it allows me to place 4 burn tokens on the map for 3 turns, which is nice. Oh, there you go. I told you the deck wasn't shuffled. Let's just show you another loot item, shall we? We've got ourselves another Shire mushroom. Okay. So, what we're going to do is we're going to give the Shire mushroom to the Dragon Knight over here, which is nice because he can only have 1 loot item, and because that's a consumable, once he's discarded it, he'll free up that slot again where he can maybe take something else. Okay. And then unfortunately, we can't equip this item because we already have 2 of these consumables. We can't have any more. So, oh, it looks like I forgot to use the backpack token. Actually, I'm just going to find that in the box. For some reason, I cannot find my backpack token. It's not where it's supposed to be in the box. So I've possibly packed it in some envelope or something from my last game. But we've got a really cool artwork backpack token, and excess loot items go in the backpack. For every 2 loot items in that backpack, the main hero, whoever is holding the backpack, the party leader, they'll get -1 agility permanently. So the maximum capacity of the backpack is 8 loot items, so you would potentially have -4 on agility, which is quite detrimental in lots of battles because it means you'll be acting lower in the turn order. Okay. So yeah, okay, that's going to go in my backpack. We'll pretend the backpack's down here. Right, what time have how long have I been recording here? 1 hour and 30 minutes. So I've maybe got a few more minutes left. Let's go get some of these encounter tokens. Right, let's explore this new mechanic. So because the battle has now concluded, it allows us, we can continue exploring here. So let's go ahead and we'll move to hex 7. So when we move to hex 7, before we explore the hex, we take this token. It's an encounter token. So we take that and we roll this boss dice again. We got an encounter card here. Let's see what encounter happens on that hex. So right now we have encounter 1. Encounter 1 is a Shire stone, and it says you uncover an ancient Shire stone. Its surface etched with runes. Flip the encounter token to the Shire stone side and leave it on this hex. So that encounter token now is a Shire stone here. Okay, this sacred marker now serves as a secondary scenario entrance. If a party is defeated, instead of losing the game, they may revive at the Shire stone, resetting only the hexes where they were defeated on. Heroes suffer a permanent -4 base HP penalty. Okay, so effectively, sorry, this acts as a graveyard. Should our party die, we'll flip over these hexes and we'll all spawn back here instead of at the Shire and losing the game. Okay, which is quite nice because it allows us to keep progressing a little bit better. It's if you guys are used to sort of old school sort of Final Fantasy games, do you remember the Moggle? And that was the only way to save the game. And back in the day, you had to go and find a save point. It was quite frustrating. You know, you got your mum shouting, come on, you're late for school. And you're like, Mum, I need to find the save point. And now in modern day gaming, it's all really convenient. You just press the start button and you can just save the game wherever you are. Okay, so that was that encounter. Let's go. Oh, no, before we need to take the exploration card here, actually. So we need to take an exploration card. And this one is summon 3 mobs to battle. So you saw a battle there, guys. This next one would be a bit tougher. Would be 3 mobs, and we would go find this hex, number 7 in the combat map binder. For argument's sake, just to show you before I get out of here, let's go and explore this hex, and there's 2 encounter tokens there. So I'll take those off. I'm going to roll this boss dice twice. First one is number 6. So we find that encounter card, and we go see number 6. Number 6 is the quest board. One player can draw 2 side quests. These are something brand new in Light and Shadow. Again, we are bringing these side quests to the Legacy add-on, which will give side quests to Fire, Ice, Earth and Water, our previous 4 scenarios. One player can draw 2 side quests. Again, like main quests, they can only keep the one, and they return the others to the deck. The player who accepts the quest needs to record the number on the hex. So we're on hex 13. You need to record that on the save game sheet, because unlike Shire quests that you can hand in when you return back to the Shire, we can actually hand it back in on this specific hex. So that gives you an excuse to rerun this scenario maybe after you've completed your campaign, to come and hand in some of these quests. But side quests we actually designed a little bit differently. A lot of them you can actually hand them in on the go. They're main quests. What have we? Oh, side quests here. This side quest here tells us, there's the little bit of blurb text, and this one says we've got to travel to hex 22 to the Celestial Observatory. You can see here, this is the hex it wants us to visit. Okay. And it tells us to perform a ritual. We've got a roll of 12 using 2d6 dice. If our rolls fall short of 12, we may make up the difference by immobilizing our spells to match the gap. Our reward is the Light of Illumara, which ties into the little small bit of story blurb there. And then you keep this card as the reward, which gains you 20 health whenever you discard it. So again, heroic mode. These side quests are really, really cool. Okay. One thing I did actually forget to do, guys, I got excited and carried away. I actually forgot to take a main quest at the beginning of the game, and I had one lined up for you, a really cool one. So before I get out of here, let me just quickly, for those of you that are still with me actually, show you some of the quests. There's going to be significantly more in the mass-produced game. We only printed a small sample of them, these quest cards in the prototype, the ones that obviously we tested. This one here I wanted to showcase because it's something new and it's really cool. I love it. So we've got the description. It effectively is, I was inspired by an MMO that's not actually released yet. They did a Kickstarter in 2017 and the game's still not released. If any of you are familiar with it, it's called Ashes of Creation. And in there, like in a lot of MMOs, you've got escort quests, but we have escort quests in the game that was printed in 2024. However, we now have a caravan escort quest. So you'll take the escort quest caravan card, you place that on the ability tab, and you have to escort the caravan across every single hex here, and things happen. So there's one of the cards that we don't have the artwork complete yet for the caravan. But every single time you explore a hex, you roll a d6 and one of 6 things happen. So the caravan might allow you to scout ahead, which if you're familiar with Magic the Gathering is effectively is scry 1. So it allows you to look at the exploration deck and scry 1, which means look at the top card, choose to keep it there or pop it at the bottom. So if you don't want another trash mob battle right away, I could have popped that on the bottom. Ignore me saying the word scry, it's just play too much Magic. Number 2 is a hazard. The caravan would lose 4 HP, and the caravan, I believe, starts at 40 HP here in the quest. Number 3, there would be an ambush. We reveal the top card of the trash mob deck, so let's take this one. And we lose health equal to the strength value. So all the heroes would lose 5 health, so you'd go into the next battle with 5 less health. Then we have, you can repair the caravan if you roll a 4. The caravan gains 2 HP. Hazard, the caravan loses a loot item. And stock up, the caravan gains a loot item. So it tells you here during the setup as well, you place a dice on here. And by the time you've got all the way through the scenario, you want this loot item dice to be as high as possible, because then you'll gain that many loot items from the caravan at the end of the side quest. And remember, that's one of the main Shire quests actually. So that's one of the new quests that we were sort of playing with, a new design space for us, which is really nice as well. Okay, guys, that's it for me. We've been going an hour and 40 minutes. Thank you very much for having if you've made it this far, for watching me have a little playthrough. You got to see some combat maps, a little bit of the encounter tokens, some scenario exploration, how that works. We got to see the hero boards, which you may have noticed during combat is where you're playing, which is why we also have that arena mode, because combat does play a large part of this game. We managed to get some loot items. We looked at the turn order card, summoning on the combat maps. We dabbled a bit with quests and side quests. The only thing we didn't get around to using is the EAI deck, which will be used when we encounter a boss, because bosses, unlike those small boards, bosses have a full big board as well, so they'll be using a lot of their spells here. So fantastic. I hope you guys had as much fun as I did playing and sharing it with you. We hope that many of you will be joining us on March 3rd when we go live on Gamefound, and we would love you to support us, because without you, this sort of kitchen dream board game wouldn't exist. So we've got all the backers from 2021 to thank for allowing us to even be here the second time round with this next installment, Light and Shadow, which, as you can see, is bringing lots of really cool improvements to the game. So lovely. Thank you very much for joining me, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.